Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. It's a quiet night. It's a calm before the storm. I am hoping to, I have announcements. I have the features for next week. We actually have a double feature to make up for no feature this week. We have the return of Philip J. Curtis, who was an early participant during the early pandemic readings here at Stone Soup Poetry. Philip J. Curtis, otherwise known as Midnight, otherwise known as one of our early features online. And he is coming back, and he is bringing a friend. He has a new collection out, and he has a compadre that he has read with for a while. And this is a man, a venue host, poet as well, John Chance Acevedo. He's going to be
This will
there.
be a
All
good. This will be a really good one. I know Midnight. So yeah, Midnight and Chance are fantastic.
yes, and Midnight requested to read with his friend. I of course said yes, and you can support his. You can support him by getting his book as well. So this will be fun for next week. And I think Don Kingfisher has elected to read also in March. I'm going to nail him down for a date, and then Lindy Carney Goodrich is going to finish off March. Her information will be coming in the next couple of days in an attempt to pace out everything and get everyone's information out in a timely manner and to also drum up interest. I appreciate Philip for taking. It was more last minute than I thought it was going to be. Not quite as bad. I kept on wanting him to close out February, but this is a lot better to kick off March. Uh, February's kind of been a depressing, cold month this year, and hoping to lighten things up with next week's reading, and that's going to be for again for for March 6th. I can't wait for it. And let's hope nothing interesting happens tomorrow because it's the leap year day. That means we won't be able to celebrate the anniversary of what happened for like 10 years after it happens. Anyway, I like the is that a panda, John?
That is a panda.
That is a panda.
This
I
is
was like,
panda t-shirt as opposed to panda hoodie.
is that the white wombat? I was looking for excuses to guess wombat. We have five people here as part of the open mic, which means it might have six if I decide to read something. But we're gonna get started right now. We're gonna get started with Mr. Andy Panda himself, Mr. John Wesick, because I want to see how this looks.
Okay, so here's a story that has been accepted but hasn't shown up yet. But I'll let you know when it shows up. It's called "Boink for Biodiversity." Thank you for coming, Mr. Pillbottle. Elizabeth Huffington was thin as a pocky stick and had hair wispy as cotton candy. They say inbreeding caused the Habsburg chin. If that was the case, her forebears must have engaged in a lot of it, because Elizabeth Huffington had two of them. Care for a sherry? Sure. She motioned to the butler, who brought two glasses. The sherry was sweet and cloying as Miss Huffington's perfume. A sex cult took my niece, and I want her back. Miss Huffington sipped her ghastly sherry. It's called Boink for Biodiversity. They make porn and donate the proceeds to save the planet or some such nonsense. Shouldn't she make her own decisions? I looked for some place to ditch my drink, but setting it on the eucalyptus wood desk would leave a ring, so I downed it in one gulp just to get rid of it. Oh, want another? Elizabeth Huffington snapped her fingers for the butler to bring a refill. Amanda's been in and out of sanitariums for a year. Despite the best medical care, she still suffers from delusions. In 3 months, she'll be 25. Then the trust fund will revert to her, and we won't be able to help her. How does $1,000 a day sound? Better than 10% off at Denny's. I set down the sherry glass by the foot of my wing-back chair. That depends, of course, on how much you order at Denny's. Here are your plane tickets to Wyoming. She handed me an envelope. Our local contact will meet you at the airport. I spotted a Great Pyrenees mountain dog holding a placard with my name on it in the arrival hall at the Jackson airport. His coat was white and he had floppy ears and a long, broad muzzle. From his warm brown eyes, I could tell he was gentle with children and devoted to his family, but due to his size and strength would need lots of training and socialization. You Morris Pillbottle, he asked. I nodded. What's your name, big fella? Grantham Snooterbox. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? I scratched him behind the ears. Are you related to the Snooterboxes of Penobscot, Maine? No, those are New England snooter boxes. I hail from the Rocky Mountain snooter boxes, he said with pride bordering on arrogance, as if no canines who lived below 5,000 feet had the right to call themselves mountain dogs. Tail wagging, he led me to a white Jeep Cherokee in the parking lot and got behind the wheel. I tossed my bag in the back seat and climbed in beside him. This raised several questions, like how did his paws reach the gas pedals and how did a dog get a driver's license in the first place? I wasn't here to enforce Wyoming traffic laws, so I sat back and gazed at the mountains that rose from the horizon like scores of high rises made of Precambrian metaphoric rock. Snooterbox drove well for a dog, except for this habit of sticking his head out the window. When we turned onto the Belvedere access road, I was looking forward to a hot shower, a steak, and a little cable TV. Imagine my disappointment when Snooterbox passed the lobby and parked by a doghouse and back. It was a wooden structure with a sloped roof and covered patio. Being built for a massive dog, there was plenty of room for an elephant or a blue whale, but with Snooterbox inside it, it was too cramped for the two of us. We need to set out while we still have daylight left. He saddled up with a backpack and pointed to mine. I swapped my rubber-soled shoes for a pair of hiking boots and shouldered my pack. Better take this. Snooterbox handed me a 10 mm Smith & Wesson. That lentil shooter of yours will only make the bears angry. I holstered the pistol even though its recoil would make it impossible to hit the broadside of a Zeppelin hangar, even from the inside. At least the noise might scare the bears away. And okay, I will stop there and maybe pick up a little bit later.
Pillbox has been in at least one other story, right?
Pill Bottle has been in, I
Pillbox.
think, 6 or 7 stories. There's the Maltese Falcon parody. There are
Yes.
the Raymond Chandler parodies. There's the one about the New Hampshire primary. There's this one. There's the one about looking for Jehovah. I think they made 7 or 8 of them that by now, I
Yeah.
think. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, I always
That's
forget. I always forget. I always remember your antagonist. In which case, when there's the private investigator, everyone's the antagonist. But I just realized that you have enough for an anthology, man. And plus, it was great to have you.
Yeah, there is a short story collection that contains several of them, and if anybody wants to publish it, let me know.
Does Snooter Box have a gun permit?
Snooterbox. Well, it's Wyoming, Bob. It's not
Oh, they
Massachusetts.
don't have gun permits there.
It's Wyoming, Bob.
Oh.
Robert, just because you're a blonde doesn't mean you get carte blanche to ask them the questions.
Hey, hey, Wessex, you ought to contact Danet. He might be interested.
Who?
Danet, he has his publishing company. He's done some really good books in the last
Oh,
year.
Dan. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I might do that. Thanks.
I might next week. I think I'm going to break out my. I have a friend. His name is Dan Notkin. Shout out to you if you're actually listening to this, Dan. Hashtag I know you're not. But he was a humor writer, and he actually tried his hand at being a screenwriter. His one unproduced play was a parody of a Mel Blanc. No, not Mel Blanc. Mel Brooks style parody of Braveheart called Clash of the Tartans. But he also wrote a detective story that cracked me up, and I was trying to publish it. Never happened. So I might actually I still have it after all these years. It's a 30-year-old document, electronic document, no less.
Yeah,
So
I've been doing a lot of parodies, Chad. I've got the Star Trek parody, and I don't know. I probably shouldn't give it away, but I'm thinking of doing one called the guacamole ad.
nice. But I might break that out for next all open mic. Anyway, that was and I just had to see you read as a bear. Because that was a thing for a brief minute in like 2016 to have people read as like their avatars. When Fortnite came out, there's a video essayist called Dan Olson. Listen to his YouTube video In Search of a Flat Earth. But when he was writing about Fortnite, which is all these characters who either shoot guns or wave at people if you're friendly, like he basically did his video. He narrated his video as a Fortnite avatar, and he couldn't even. It was like smiling and waving as the voiceover happened. But they've gotten the avatars have gotten better since. Anyway, fun way to start off. Sorry to let you guys. Sorry to bring you all guys all down. Up next is Ken Johnson, aka Orange Julius Caesar.
Hail, Orange Julius Caesar. Okay, this one is a little longer than usual. So if you want to cut me off, you can either give me one of these or just cut in, because I don't think it's too long. But all the same, if it gets too long, you're welcome to chime in. Now, where the hell to go? Here we go. The defeat of fascism will not be shown on YouTube because, if publicized, it will be their boogaloo rally call to step up the threats for election workers, and their silence is all we really ask for anyway. The defeat of fascism will not be shown on cable TV because truth and expression is free, and you don't need another monthly bill just to pay for the liberty of not being able to say, "Fuck you, Nazi," because their children might be watching. The defeat of fascism will not be heard on AM radio because that shit died with your grandpa and his 78 AM FM Cutlass Imperial 20 gallons to the mile plush living room on wheels. And he never told your grandma about the hooker he knew in the South End who would leave her dentures on the dashboard when she was with him. And besides, Howie Carr can't convince its agents to schedule a time for it to call in anyway. The defeat of fascism will not be talked about at Thanksgiving dinner because the legacy of your blue suit, white shirt, red tie wearing Joe McCarthy loving died a decade ago. Uncle died a decade ago. And it's time you heard about how your nieces and nephews are doing in school and in college and told your family, brothers and sisters you love them like you never did before, nor will today. Yet you should. The defeat of fascism will not be found printed on a slip of paper inside a broken fortune cookie. 'Cause fortune cookie fortunes are just harmless admonitions made of sugar and bleach white flour. And your numbers are your birthday divided by pi, and then 6 more numbers that are the day you will die. But those numbers are blank space now, written only in onion juice, and only time will reveal them, and better you don't know anyway. And all the fortune cookies writers really want to tell you is, you'll be hungry later. Order takeout now. The defeat of fascism will not be ever really declared anyway, because the price of freedom, every freedom, not just liberty and justice, and there is no Superman faster than a speeding bullet able to leap tall buildings, because the price of freedom is vigilance, not vigilante. Vigilance. And the grace to trust, but verify. The defeat of fascism will not be the headline or the byline or even just a little print tiny box in the classifieds, because newspapers are black and white and red all over, and their commerce is their heroin-like compulsion for constant traffic accidents, rubbernecking yesterday's tragedy today, again and today's tomorrow, and the murder and poverty and desperation of quotidian city life is a constant horror film cash cow, no longer able to subsist on your spare change, but now auto debits your high-interest credit card every month even though you just swipe left on the bus and don't even read it anyway. The defeat of fascism will not be beaten over the head with protest signs or American flags or banners of Rambo Allen Ginsberg or Terminator Henry David Thoreau, or blinded by the tears of bear mace or threatened with gibbet nooses. Let them hang themselves, they have enough rope, because that's what we object to. Tyranny instead of the respect of the vote and the rights of the individual and the covenants of our Constitution. If we are no better than the rampant drifts and droves of that trumpeting swineherd, should we shit in its halls and shred the Bill of Rights for stall litter too? The defeat of fascism will not be a reason to refute, demean, admonish, subjugate, be in your face with your brother, your sister-in-law, your cranky old uncle, that guy down the street with the propaganda signs and placards and flags in his yard, because they are my brothers, my sisters-in-law, my cranky uncles, and my neighbors. I love them, or I want to try to. I might tell them to shut up after enough time if they insist on trying my patience. One of my brothers I've hung up on twice, but I still love him and them, or at least I want to try to. It's okay they don't visit too often, but I will still send them Christmas bombs. The defeat of fascism will not be any different from the resolutions or disagreements as we have faced before, as at the end of the Civil War, Lincoln emancipated the rebels by admonishing the North that they are our brothers, our sisters. So eventually, ineffably, if not now, then when we are bearded and gray, as did those old Civil War pensioners of a century ago, we will shake hands at that proverbial Gettysburg Wall again with our prodigal oppositions, and America will reunite its soul. The defeat of fascism will not be the incarnation of a class of the defeat of fascism will not be the incarceration of a class of persons, political or regional. That's just jailing Americans for being Americans. The defeat of fascism will not be an act of contrition performed by me, who am neither Democrat nor Republican, liberal nor conservative, blue state or red state, for I, and hopefully not alone, am of that old Levi's jeans party. Their emblem is my label, for I am that tough pair of blue jeans today. Way too tired of being pulled apart by you two assholes. So, friends on the Stone Soup Poetry Zoom, thank you and good night.
Wait, go back to fascism won't be defeated. I lost you after the radio part. Anyway, thank you.
No, I'm not doing it twice. If you missed it, you're gonna have to watch your video tomorrow.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I hate watching my videos. Anyway, the narrator's a douche. The host is a douche. Anyway, let's keep the party going by.
I don't think his mother thinks so.
Fuck you, man. Anyway, let's go to Mr. Bill Lewis.
Thank you, Chadford. Fellow inmates, what a pleasure to be here with you. How do we start those meals? My name's Bill, and I'm a poeticaholic. And then we go from there. An ode to the day behind me. Slippery, slimy, slowy, snowy slush. How I hate you. You should be crushed. At first you pretend you're just late snowfall. A nice tight pack for snowmen and snowballs. but then your true nature begins to show. And we're slipping and sliding, and God, I don't know. For a moment, I'm sure I can get down the path. Next thing you know, I'm down on my ass. If this snow were powder or even light ski pack, I could have brushed it off my pants and shook off my backpack. But dear Slushy here is a spawn of the devil. She'll do anything to knock you off of your level. There you go, down you go, into the white snow turned black. A goopy soft mud that seeps up your mat. So curse you, Stam Slush, may you melt in the hell. I'll see you next winter when I'll have slush melting gel. So there is my protest against snow that only pretends to be snow. Oh, God, that stuff is gross. Gross, gross, gross. Okay, thank you for allowing me to get that off my chest.
And thank you, Bill. Let us go now. Who's the Remninator 5000 picked next? Let's go to Generalissimo Brian Franco. Presente. Ah, crap. Okay, let's go to
Here, I mean, I just was muted.
there we go.
I keep on thinking I mute, but I unmute myself, then I mute myself back. I'm good at doing that. Okay, hold on. This is something brand new. The most serious side effect of COVID is not long COVID, is not a symptom like shortness of breath, is not a persistent cough. It is an epidemic of loneliness. It is the persistence of isolation. It is trying to find a foothold in our minds. It is insidiosity in its most insidious form. To isolate can become habit. To isolate can be a safe space in sheep's clothing. Some say that isolation involves meditation, but while meditation seems like isolation, it is about finding harmony. So isolation need not be a necessity. Isolation might be born as choice till it becomes habit, a fallback. Then it ceases as choice till it becomes a jail without bars or walls, till it ceases as fallback, till it insidiously becomes normalcy. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for something completely different. Let's go to Robert Fleming, who is actually in his own skin for once.
Good
With
evening.
some hair dye.
I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Delaware, and tonight I'm making a call for the Stone Soup players to do a cold reading of one of the greatest love scenes from the movie Ben-Hur. Let me start by sharing the screen. And this was the flyer for the movie. The scene is between Ben-Hur and Esther. And eventually in the scene, Ben-Hur and Esther kiss. Just before the scene, Esther was a slave of Ben-Hur and obtained her release of slavery to marry another man. And here is the start of the scene. I will read the script directions, but we need two people for the cast. One is
Me,
Ben-Hur.
I want to do it. And you choose me, quick.
Do you want to be Ben-Hur or Esther?
Hey, they're both hers, Est, her, and Ben, her, so both female characters. Who had, Esther's got some good lines in there, and Ben Hur is a bit of an asshole, all things considered. So I am gonna go with Esther.
Say, Robert, could you enjoy a love scene between a panda and a human?
That sounds beautiful.
I think it will be heartwarming.
As long as the human's consenting.
So John, you will be Ben-Hur.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I will start reading the script directions. At her feet is Ben-Hur's dog. She smiles at the animal, reaches down, fondles it. Then she becomes conscious of another's presence, straightens up, looks around. She seems embarrassed. Esther turns.
Oh,
I disturbed you?
no.
What were you thinking?
I was saying goodbye to the city and to this house.
You've not of 10 been here. What do you remember of it?
My father sometimes brought me here when I was little. It was always a house where I was happy, except once when you had been out hunting and they carried you home in a hurdle injured. I touched your face as you lay there and prayed to God, don't let this boy die.
I can hear how you said it, gently as you say it now.
Yes, master.
Master, I have given you your freedom.
Esther is grave, already in love with Ben-Hur. Hardly confessing it to herself, she tries to express her feelings.
Hey, back, give me my feelings.
Yeah, her feelings are on the previous page there, Robert.
That's better. It's strange. I hardly felt like a slave, and now I hardly feel free, as though I must always belong here, as I have all my life long. Next page, you got it. Push the page button.
Well,
No, I'll get there.
okay.
Is that it for now?
No, we have another page.
Oh, okay.
Where is the other page, though?
Yeah, he's messing with it. Okay.
It's strange. I hardly felt like a slave, and now I hardly feel free, as though I must always belong here as I have all my life long. With you, my great and wonderful master, O Ben-Hur.
I think you can hit Alt Tab, Robert, and just page down when you're sharing.
Okay.
Alt Tab will change it. To this house?
Your house.
In the old wise days of Solomon, if there happened to be among his slaves some particular wonder, a girl who filled his eyes when he looked at her, he could choose her out from the rest and take her to him. Wise days.
Esther looks away from him, but her eyes are shining.
Different day than long ago. Ooh.
If you were not a bride, I should ask to kiss you goodbye.
Sadly, but smiling a little.
If I were not a bride, there would be no goodbyes to say. Oh.
A pause. He is on the verge of kissing her. He does not. He notices the slave ring on her thumb.
The slave ring.
He puts the ring on his little finger.
Fair exchange. Freedom to you. Slavery to me.
You can't wear a slave ring.
Why not? As a link of the chain which still holds you to this house.
Until you meet the woman you will marry.
Yes, until then.
Pause. They look at each other over a moment. Then Ben-Hur kisses her as they start to part. And the last page. No, I think that's it. That's it. Thank you from the Stone Soup players. And I hope you'll remember that in Ben-Hur, there were also love scenes beyond, and the love scenes were beautiful beyond the chariot scene.
And it was great for ecology too, because they had a panda in the movie.
I look forward to your remake of the Caligula movie, Robert. Until then, let us. Oh, looks like Jason Wright left us, so I think we are left with. Rick Spizak, Richard Spizak. Good to have you here.
My pleasure and honor, sir. Am I up next?
Yes.
Splendid. Then I have some brain twisters for you. This first, called Amidst the Infirmities of Time. Somewhere out there in the infirmities of time, you'll find your rapture quite sublime. In the beating of a heart, you'll find music from the very start. Between each beat that stirs the soul, infirmities clasp hands, take heart. You're on a roll. The rhythm rolls, and so the galactic forces stroll. Wavelets of the infinite careen, expand and erect. There's just one thing they don't contact. Like the ripples of a pond, their expansive nature interacts, responds. Don't try to chase the passing moment. Sit back, relax, and as you crisscross the firmament, Blake observed the fleeting moment and urged us, let it fly, hand open. Joy, he called it. Don't let it fly. Don't try to catch it, even in your lovely eye. Time, measured by celestial clocks. Listen to it as the subtle rocks. Do not mark your days, my friend, the pulses of your kin. As we observe the clock hand sweep, take your breathing in. Make it deep. Make your mark in the eternal now, even in that moment when you take and make the even shape of your sacred vow amidst the infirmities of time. And continuing my theme of the infinite, this is called the blue hole. Now, when my wife and I moved to Tennessee, we thought, mountains, springs, rivers, there's going to be wonderful places, a swimming hole somewhere that the locals know about. So we inquired one by one, and no one could tell us. It literally took 2 years for someone to say, oh yeah, well, there's the blue hole. And they said it without promise. They said it with reservation. So here we go, the blue hole. And there is a picture of it right behind me. The blue hole. We wanted to swim in a natural spring. That's just how we are. It's how we swing. We like to swim natural in a spring or a river, but we don't like pollution, not one little sliver. We checked all the rivers. We checked all the lakes. We saw lots of water hazards. Don't make any mistakes. But in this woodsy district with its mountains and creeks, wasn't there somewhere to swim without chemical leaks? We asked all the neighbors. We asked the state park. We took to us more than a year to find someone who knew in the light or in the dark. When all of a sudden we found 4, then we found 5 who all mentioned the same one. And I kid you not, no jive. They told it the same way. Each single one, they'd say, the blue hole. And then suddenly we're dumb. We pressed them upon it. They said in one voice, it's a pure spring, that's certain, but it's just not my choice. Is it natural and pure? We asked quizzically. It's just hard to get to. Quite a walk. You go, you'll see. a stroll in the woods. How could that be bad? One thing they would say almost under their hat was that the parking was good, but not long walk by half. We waited for a hot day when the sun burned so bright, a nice day for a leafy, foresty hike. We drove up into the mountains an hour or more, drove way up in the mountains for the blue hole experience we'd waited so long for. What would we find at the mysterious hole we used in summers for a century or more? What kind of a grotto would there be any falls? We assumed it'd be crowded, perhaps wall to wall. A twisty and turny road into the hills, surrounded by trees, ravines, and all their frills. Upon turning a corner, we see a wide spot with a gravelly area, one car in the lot. We pulled in quite slowly. They were loading, it seemed. And the benefit was all we could ask. Was it the place of our dreams? Yes, go right down the path. They waved diffidently as they left. You just couldn't tell, was it northeast, south, or west? We toured round the gravel lot. There were 3 or 4 paths. Not one looked overused. We resigned with a laugh. We picked one at random. Not one looked direct. It tumbled down through the woods, rutted, unsteady. We might break our necks. The path down was steep. It was crisscrossed with rocks. You had to be careful, please you step, or else your head be embossed. We've got to tell you, not one single free hand. We had chairs and coolers, everything for a picnic but ants and some sand. Carefully, we picked our way down the steep, overgrown path. Each root and rock tottered, slicked down the trail. Best you didn't laugh. Whether from rain or just mist, the whole trail was soaked. You had to step carefully. Your neck might be broke. We came into a clearing, and oh my, there appeared a pretty little grotto with ferns, rocks, and falls. We nearly cheered. A simple little spring with boulders around it, and a lovely waterfall that splashed. We finally found it. To enter the water, you had to jump over the rocks, but to climb out, my friend, you best have tentacles in your socks. The boulders surrounding were polished and smooth, missing any handhold or ledges, or even the tiniest groove. There was nothing to grasp on or cling to that wasn't all slick. But after use as a swimming hole for 100 years or more, you'd think, for gosh sake, they'd managed some kind of trick. We pretended our fingers had small sticky pads, and we slowly inched out because that's all we had. The water was great. It was clean. It was cool. Now we know why the mention of the blue hole was a little subdued. That was true. Thank you, my friends. Time for one more, or am I done?
We're going to do a round robin, so we'll have you. We'll come around to you again.
Okay.
Definitely. I want to bring up before he gets lost again, before he has to cut out, Mr. Jason Wright from Parts Unknown.
I'm here on the moon, Chad. I'm playing banjo with Elvis.
There we go. Wait, Elvis never learned the banjo.
Elvis, Chad. Elvis. All right, I have a poem for you. And by the way, I have some news, Chad. Our friend Kill Bosby wants to come on the show at some point.
No, but we're not bringing him now.
No, not now, but he's gonna come on the week that was at some point.
Oh God, the week that was the weekly shows highlighting Oddball Magazine's prior week of publications, which got canceled this week.
Is that what we speak of?
Never heard of it. Anyway, this is Jason Wright of Oddball Magazine, and the founder of it. Let's hear his words today.
Okay, thank you, Chad. You'll have to hear. I've been taking moon rocks. All right, Jagged Thought, 511, seen from a train. All right. I sat by the window, the scenery passing. I looked down at my book. I was at the last page, nowhere near my stop. I looked at my watch. It was dead. No idea if I was late or not. The memory of you was running through me, your laughter echoing in my vacant heart. I knew that if I read the last page, I'd have nothing left of you. I closed the book, stared at the blank screen of my dead watch, waiting for the next stop. Really big show.
Thank you, Jason, and stay tuned. Stay with us as we go the second round, and we go back.
I just wanted to say I just put at 9:15 tonight is Midnight's open mic. I just put the information about that in the chat.
Oh, midnight being the next week's feature. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. I'm not going to stay here with you losers. I'm going to that right now. No, anyway, let's wrap up the open mic and let's get going and start again. Begin at the beginning, go to the end, and then stop. And we'll begin at the last round robin's beginning with Mr. John Wezek.
I just gotta say, I got a great comment. It said, in space, you can't hear yourself banjo.
Which is why the banjo is the preferred instrument to take out in space. Anyway, let's go.
I think you should take the bagpipes to space personally, but okay, I'll continue. After a 30-minute drive, we parked at the trailhead for Mount Dagger. As soon as we stepped out, a group of sage grouse surrounded us. "Got your car, mister?" the largest knucklehead asked. "Be a shame if your windshield wipers were gone when you got back." "Thanks for looking out for us." Even though I hated getting shaken down, I handed him half a granola bar. "You'll get the other half when we return." Not long after we started walking, we approached a chipmunk sitting by the path. "Spare some cornflakes, mister?" When I shook my head and walked past, he said, "God bless." My hiking boots started chafing my heel. I sat on a rock, took my boot off, and covered the blister with a Band-Aid. Wyoming had pretty scenery if you go for that kind of thing. Dogwoods and sagebrush had proliferated as ruthlessly as burger franchises. Only the aroma of bacon, eggs, and coffee could make the clean air smell better. Snooterbox rested his chin on my thigh, and I scratched him behind the ears. When I stopped, he batted me with his big paw, demanding more. "See that?" I pointed to a turkey vulture circling like a police helicopter. "Yeah, he's been tailing us for the past half hour. Nothing to do for now but keep going." Snooterbox set off at a quick pace. The trail grew steeper and sweat soaked my shirt under the backpack. The dry air was thinner than I was used to, and I stopped frequently to drink water and catch my breath. I heard a god-awful racket. "My name is Zeke, and my beak is orange. My bracelet squeaks, it's like a rusty door hinge." I looked up at a Stellar's jay beatboxing in a lodgepole pine. He wore blue, had the feathers cut in a mohawk, and it pierced his wing with a safety pin. "Better get your asses out of here. This is Sky Reaper's turf." "Yeah, I'm talking to you. Don't you walk away from me," the jay yelled at my back. "Hey, 1946 called. They want their trench coat back. Squawk, squawk." Squadrons of jays leapt from the trees and commenced their bombing runs. Each dove at 80 degrees from the horizontal and pulled up with feet to spare, as if Snooterbox and I were the aircraft carriers Akagi and Soryu. We had no choice but to retreat. By the time we made back to cover, I looked like a statue covered with pigeon droppings. "If we can get past that clearing and into the tree line, we'd be okay," Snooterbox said. "But we're going to need help." And I'll stop it there.
Love it. And now, well, let's see if Orange Julius Caesar, aka Ken Johnson, has anything he wants to add after his epic poem from last time.
Oh, I do. This one's much shorter and much more solemn. May I tell you by way of warming up that I once worked at the John Houseman Theater, and they were doing a production of a play called Child Byron. Lord Byron himself was being played by Bill Hurt. You may remember him as an actor from a number of movies. So there's Bill Hurt on stage. Now, this was like a dress rehearsal, right? And they had to stop him. So he leaned up against the proscenium and he was just like in character. He kept doing this, and he brought out a little, a handkerchief and was dabbing his cheek like this. And he was generally swanning about. So I say that by way of telling you that this poem, which is called The Saddest Thing, is best affected by an imitation of my most lachrymose Byron, which I regret is not practiced, but I will do my best. The saddest thing is something so happy as this birthday candle, so gay, bubblegum pink, white spiral fruits, evoking the taste of birthday cake ice cream, flying unicorn food with red raspberry vanilla goo, and sprinkles mixed of red and blue, flavors that the eyes taste too. And sugar so sweet you can grit the grains in your white teeth. I don't remember which birthday it was, hers or mine, when the time, but somehow it sang out when lit. The song most sung, that birthday shit. A flame, the flame connecting in the wick, a power circuit to the base. Don't ask me how, but it did. This something happy, with its undying joy pent up below 2 inches of wax, perhaps some battery spark yet to start up, has now become this saddest thing that last has chimed its joyful score for my love's birthday, nevermore. That's it, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And now we bring you back to Mr. Bill Lewis. We should really get inside. It's cold out.
Cold, you know. I have been asked to go on to a TV show, a small TV show with this gal who does history events and publicity events here in the Pacific Northwest. She's moderately, I guess she's moderately well known if you're from Seattle. I haven't heard of her, but otherwise she's Rush Limbaugh, or, well, maybe not politically Rush Limbaugh, but that kind of local flavor. And so she has asked me as Madison to come on to her show and speak to something of hope. And I'm sitting here, she wants something hopeful for her show, that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, we're all gonna die. And that's really not as much fun as, we are all gonna die, but before we die, we can do some pretty good shit. So here I am as James Madison, considering the hopes and fears. For what is hope if you do not have a contrary fear against which your hope works? What were we hopeful for? I was hopeful that we would win the Revolutionary War. I was fearful that if we didn't, they would hang us. So maybe things today aren't quite that extreme, that your hopes are a little bit smaller and your fears are not quite so serious. And I hope that we would pass a constitution in 1787 and that we would not dissolve into 2 or 3 different countries going to war with each other like Europe forever and ever and ever, because I was afraid that Europe, all it was war after war after war. You worry so much about the importance of this time, this moment. It is the turning point in history. If we do not elect the right person into the office, the world, the country will go to shit in a handbasket. It is now or never. If the other side takes over, they will establish their version of autocracy, which will last forever. Speaking of James Madison, I can assure you, we politicians are really good at finding people's worries and upping them and saying, yes, be afraid. There's a fear, fear, fear. What did the preacher say about witchcraft? They're evil, fear, fear, fear. They will ruin your harvest. They will ruin your life. We have a reason to get rid of them. We politicians are good at encouraging that kind of stuff. That party, the other people, they are evil. I assure you that we said this back in 1787 and 1790 and 1800 and 1810, etc. It is worthy to keep in mind that that other party, those evil people, constitutes 50% of the population of the country. You're calling your neighbors evil. Maybe that they're not quite all evil. Maybe you could look at the world differently. If 50% of the world has to be eliminated before you can be happy, I think you are doomed to being miserable. I, as president, lost many battles, many serious battles, many vital battles that if we lost, the whole country would go to hell in a handbasket. We're sure that we were going down the road to purgatory, and that I fought the bank. I fought the first bank of the United States so hard. Alexander Hamilton, his banking schemes, and all that crazy stuff. If they got in, the world would collapse. The country would become a dictatorship. We might as well have a king if we were going to have a bank like that. And I lost. I lost. And the country did not fall apart. And horrible things didn't happen. Actually, the bank worked pretty damn well. Matter of fact, we kind of had a real uptick in the economy. We were making money hand over fist. Oh my God, it worked so well. We had money, we had foreign exchange, we had commerce. In 1816, when the bank went out of charter after 20 years, I, as president, supported the rechartering of the Bank of the United States, not because I thought it was the best thing, but God damn it, it worked. And after that, of course, you know, the era of good feelings. Money worked, we were at peace, people were happy, the future was beautiful, we were prosperous. What great things await this country. If we could survive the things that we survived, imagine what you can do. You will survive and you will do great things. Go forth, my friends. Be multiply and fruitful. Be fruitful and multiply. Anyway, so that's more or less what I'm going to say, and try to be encouraging and inspiring. And yes, the world is not coming to an end. Quit being so pessimistic and blah, 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 blah.
To conclude, blah. Thank you, Bill. Brian Franco, if you'd like a turn.
Sure.
Ah,
This is called Once Upon a Plum after William Carlos Williams. Upon discovering a time machine in your basement, I knew the leftover Chinese takeout in your fridge could provide an opportunity. I found a small container of plum sauce, made my way to the basement, walked into your little invention, sat down, buckled up, dialed a knob to a month ago. Everything spun and shook, then was still. The plum sauce was now a juicy, perfectly ripe plum I could not help myself to bite into. Its juice cascaded down my chin and stained the white undershirt I was wearing. I returned to the present. I wrapped the plum pit in a paper towel and discarded it into the kitchen trash. The next morning at breakfast, you complained there was no plum sauce to dip your cold dumplings in. Thank you.
thank you, Brian. I think Robert Fleming, if he is willing to share one more time, I believe the permissions are still there for him.
Thank you. So as I shared earlier, I submitted to the Somerville column, and I will share the 2 poems that I submitted. This is the first. Scoring a hockey goal is a date. Before our match, I scrub my cheeks. Old Spice behind my ears. Banaka Blast my tongue. We face off at a coffee shop center ice. As a puck drops, who will draw us backwards? Will we slap the puck into a net or pass each other? After each 20-minute period, I go to the gents. When the bill sirens, I choose my goal. Even strength. Pay your own. Power play. Grab the check. Shorthanded. What do you want? Penalty shot. You asked, you pay. Empty net. When I gented, you left. After 60 minutes, if our score is tied, I body check for a 5-minute kiss. And I will share the other one I submitted. It is about cows. So if everybody wants to go ahead and get in the spirit and put on an avatar of a cow, that would be wonderful. Lost my moo after 100,000 moos. Hooves prod through a squeeze chute. Freeze branded my left flank at minus 89 degrees centigrade. Pierced my nostril with a metal ring. Cows know who they are. Don't need number. Star M899312. Now, wow, pow, holy cow. Cows moo who they are. Born a Jersey cow. Bull, keep your pizzle away from my vulva. Moo, moo, move. Red Angus's would a cow jump over the moon? Simmentals move over the moon. Texas Longhorns jump hurdles. Shorthorns jump long. Charolais vault poles. Limousin jump high. Brown Swiss model for Swiss Miss. Herefords graze alfalfa. Holsteins charge the corral. Thank you for letting me share my submission.
Very moving,
Moo,
Robert.
moo, moo.
All right. 2 more to go before the second final round is done, and we have time to go to midnights if we can make it. Let's move on to never mind. Thanks, Bill. Mr. Rick Spigzak.
Okay, my friends, thank you so much for the opportunity. This is going to wave a little political flag. The Supremes seem to take the bait. Donald Trump is just so great. They'd start to renovate Rushmore. Shucks, why wait for when he rounds up the Muslims from every state? To take him from the ballot seemed just to push away the voters' dreams. Why, if Colorado had its way to keep the big bad wolf away, the wolf's constituents would find it tough. If Colorado seemed to huff and puff, should Colorado find itself the one to set aside this parlous twisted elf? We don't like Colorado to make the choice, precluding this voting disaster for everyone's senile anti-Joyce. And if she likes to see the Capitol burn, we'd hate to see her lose a turn. And if old Donnie J wants to give the secrets away, shan't we give generously and provide him another day? Yes, he stated he'd like to shoot someone on sunny 5th Street in noontime toot, or order SEAL Team 6 to bury his loyal opposition, say old Larry or Sheriff Twix. He says he'd round him up by millions, and when he sells our secrets and makes billions, Nero fiddled, they say, when Rome did burn, and they could never forbid our Barney. Just one more turn. He's immune from any law that might restrict his fatal flaw while he's king, or maybe later as he drives us into that charming crappy crater. There is no law, no blessed liege that can anyway restrict his sneeze. So it seems we're fated then. He's there, Barbie, we're his kin. Unable to check this fateful course, but wait a minute. It will get worse. He'd never accept a vote that fails. We'd seen that ship. It's already sailed. Unstoppable as we cruise now for the iceberg. Hey, democracy, is there no last word?
Thank you, sir. And closing us out, accompanied by Banjo Elvis on the moon, apparently. He was asking if Robert's mushrooms kicked in. Good Lord. Or was it John's? But anyway, let's welcome back for our final participant of the evening, Mr. Jason Wright.
We all need mushrooms, Chad. They come from the earth. They come from the earth.
I prefer Marsala.
They come from the earth, Chad. All right. Jagged Thought 514. Nothing matters more than love. I have decided that nothing matters more than love. Not money, not fame, not esteem, not pressure on rocks, not gravity or death or basketball or medicines to help you sleep. Just love. Love is something that makes your life better. It is the elixir. It is penicillin before penicillin. It's in the air that you breathe. It's in the breath. It saves, and it lives largely on the screens. It exists and it heals. It lies dormant in all of us, but it is such a powerful feeling. It is the truth. It is the reason. It is why we wait on hold, go to stores, shovel snow, mop floors, visit nurses, tie shoes, and why we kiss. Love is the elixir, dormant in some, overflowing in others, a powerful instinct in all of us. Love is everything. Even God does not exist without love.
Thank you,
That's it.
Jason.
Thank you, Chad.
And hope you're doing well. Okay, check out the Oddball Show the week that was. Check out his Oddball Show on the Oddball Magazine, Oddball Foundation YouTube page. Jason's got a lot going on. He's even started filming a cable show in Milford, Massachusetts, of all places. I would have never guessed it.
Milford.
Milford.
Guess what they got there, Chad?
Mills. Overly religious. Small secret polyamory community. I know some
A
bands.
Brazilian steakhouse.
There you go.
They've got
Oh.
milk, Chad. Milk.
Milking
Milf.
cow.
Oh
Milking
God.
cow.
Do the milk
Uh,
have pickup trucks made by Ford?
So, in Manchester, there's a Brazilian steakhouse called the Gaucho Brazilian Steakhouse, but gauchos are from Argentina, so, go figure.
Well, I should drive up to Manchester, and you should pay for my dinner and take me there.
What a deal. Not only drive up, but you get to pay for his dinner. Great deal.
I have to pay for the gas.
that describes most of my dates before I actually had gotten to a
Then I would
relationship.
suggest get premium, ultra premium gas and make him pay for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, sure, Brian. Drive over to Manchester sometime. I'll take you someplace. I'll buy you dinner.
I put out only for ultra premium gas.
Yeah, right. Sunoco ultra premium, and that's it. None of this mobile shit. Don't even try to get me Shell. I'm not a hooker.
If I buy a hot dog at the 7-Eleven, I'll give you some ultra premium gas within an hour.
It's kind of getting scary when the only normal person is the fucking cowhead. Anyway, let us sign out tonight and be with us next week for our double feature. Midnight, aka
Chad,
Philip
real quick.
Curtis. What?
Because of the
Okay.
thing.
Oh Jesus. All right. Thank you guys very much. Philip J. Curtis, aka Midnight, will be featuring next week. And I don't know why everyone's raising hands all of a sudden, but Philip will be performing.
It's the wave, Chad. It's the wave.
Oh, awesome. Oh, for God's sakes, use your hands like a real person. Come on, we're not all androids yet. Wave like a man, I say. A man with a cow head, I tell
Speak for
you.
yourself.
Oh God. That's,
Ooh,
That's a Queen Elizabeth wave.
ooh.
oh boy.
Oh,
you.
boy.
Thank you guys very much and have a very good evening. More to be announced in the next couple of days for Stone Soup in March, and hopefully some announcements coming up for Poetry Month in April. Don't forget to prepare for National Poetry Writing Month Challenge. That's 30 poems in 30, averaging in 30 days. There'll be information on the Stone Soup Facebook page. Take
And
care, you
remember,
guys.
with poetry, you can write about anything, and it's considered poetry.
There you
Just a
go.
minute. Note to self from the Moon Man: write about anything. You write your shopping list with semicolons, and it's considered a poem.
Thank you, sir, and good luck, everyone. Have yourselves a very good evening. Go back to the moon with you. Have a good night, everyone. Show's over.
To the moon.
See you next time.